So here we are back again, starting off with Exodus after finishing Genesis. I'm Mark, my online moniker being Backhand Bard. Got through Genesis in 4 installments, moving on to Exodus with the death of Joseph. And God freeing his people from the tyranny of Egypt. So I've read Genesis, I've read Exodus. But there's a lot of other books in the middle of the Bible that I'm not familiar with, mostly in the Old Testament. Funny how that works. You catch the beginnings and the ends. You know, I know the Gospels, I know Revelation, but then there's a lot in between in the New Testament that I'm not familiar with. And kind of the same for the Old Testament. Familiar with the first few books, the Pentateuch. And there's a couple other books, not chapters. So I'm excited to delve into them. Mr. Shackelford, welcome back. You wanted to talk about Genesis, and I got through Genesis. So what do you want to know? You wanted to know my opinion. Man. My thoughts... Oh boy. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just the beginning. You know, people think Genesis, they think creation, like you say. I think it's interesting that we have 2 creation stories. One dealing more with a very broad overview, and the other one dealing more with man themselves. I don't really know what to make of that, the relevance of it. There's obviously wisdom to be gained from both of them. I think one of the most important parts of the first creation story being that God rested on the 7th day. You know, if God rested on the 7th day, man should probably take 1 day a week to rest. If God rested on the 7th day. You know, you do need to take time to restore yourself, restore your soul, and prepare yourself for the coming week. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Shackelford. There was definitely things going on outside the garden. It wasn't barren. Because after Adam and Eve, you know, they go out and find wives, find mates, their children. An expanded version, the director's cut of Genesis. So yeah, I think that's one of the big things I take away from the first creation story is if God rested, you got to rest for a day. The second story is more human-based, more interaction-based between Adam and Eve and God and our antagonist of the story, the serpent. Once Abraham came along, God stopped interacting directly. Yeah, I guess before we get to Abraham, I'll mention Enoch, because something always struck me about Enoch. Like, he walked with God, and God took him up. Like, he's one of the few people in the Bible who did not die. Like, God just snatched him up, and that's really all he says. All the Bible says is he walked with God. So, what does it mean to walk with God? Yeah. Yeah, in the beginning, he had far more presence, far more direct action. Gosh, my mind is kind of going towards, how parenting is supposed to be. And I think that's a reflection of, God's doing what I think parents should do. At first he shows a lot of direct action. He's got to hold their hand. He's got to do things for them. And then there comes a point where he's just got to send humanity out on its own and let them figure it out for themselves. I think a lot of parents make that mistake. They try to hold their kids' hands too much for too long. And that's why I like the story of Abraham. I think that's, leave your father's tent. I think that's a lesson a lot of people need to learn a lot sooner, because I wish I would have. And so now these many thousands of years later of God allowing man to walk the path, figure it out for ourselves. It's either we sink or swim. The nakedness of Noah. Genesis chapter 9, verse 25. Why is Canaan cursed when Ham sees Noah naked? Yeah, so Ham sees Noah naked, but it's Ham's son Canaan that gets cursed. Why wasn't the curse directly on Ham? Yeah, it was a big deal in the garden. Yeah, his brothers walked backwards into the tent with a blanket to cover him. I guess it's got something to do with knowledge. I mean, the knowledge of good and evil. after Adam and Eve ate from the tree, realized they were naked. So there's something about nakedness that is either good and evil, I guess evil in this case, that needs to be kept private. Yeah. But yeah, bringing back up our antagonist again, the serpent. Yeah, he's very subtle, very cunning. The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. The serpent beguiled me. Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So, God's putting a curse on the serpent, but also a curse on the generations of the serpent between thy seed and her seed. Beguiled. Hoodwink, deception, to deceive by wiles. It has the term beguile has a sexual connotations to it. Sexual connotation to it. So there's a lot between the lines here of, what kind of seed does this serpent have? And it's my speculation, but I think that's why the Bible keeps track of the Canaanites. Because yes, there was a curse on Canaan, Ham's son, but I think it goes deeper than a curse. I think it's keeping track of the bloodline of Satan and the bloodline of Adam and Eve. Seth was born of the serpent. I don't think so. I think Cain was born of the serpent because he was the evil one. He was the one that couldn't make the proper sacrifice. He was the one that was evil. He was the one that turned to destruction. And then Seth was Adam and Eve's third child, who was born legitimately of them. So I disagree. I think Cain was born of the serpent through Eve. And yes, we do need a director's cut. I don't know. The serpent may not have even bred with Eve. I saw a good video. Dr. Gene Kim of Real Bible Believers. Highly recommend him. Very smart man. Can go in way more depth analyzing these than I ever could. There were seemingly other humans on the earth, but they were not in the garden. But yeah, that's one of the points Dr. Gene Kim really focuses on is that term beguiling. It's an act of seduction, and then it leads right into the serpent's seed. So it's almost insinuated that although Cain and Abel are twins, Cain was born of the serpent and Abel was born of Adam. And I think I wouldn't say evidence, I think there's some definite insinuation of that. And it makes the story make a whole lot more sense. Anything else you want to touch on before I start hitting Exodus? Yeah. Yeah, shoot, man. I should find that because that's a really, really interesting line. Oh, man. I hate looking through this. Trying to find something. Oh. Okay, so entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark. So it doesn't say it there. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. It's something I'm trying to work on. When I get bounced around on topics, I get flustered pretty quickly. But having you bounce me around, helps force me to keep me on point. I mean, the best way to get better is to practice. I guess in terms of the giants and all that corrupted flesh had to survive somehow. There is one verse that everything on the land and everything in the air passed away, but not everything in the water. It doesn't make mention of that. So any corrupted flesh, as you say, could have survived if they were water-dwelling creatures, for lack of a better term. Okay, I'm trying to find the line of Noah's sons and their wives. Because one of the wives, it specifically says she was a Canaanite. So Cain's bloodline continues on, even though, God destroyed the whole earth. The sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Ham is the father of Canaan. Like, it makes very specific mention of that because it's important. And then we get into the nakedness of Noah. These are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons of Japheth. Sons of Ham. Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. Yeah, it's hard to find, but I know for a fact it's in there. I'm a Christian. Denomination. I go to a Baptist church because my uncle goes to a Baptist church. I mean, I don't really consider myself a denomination. I like that church because the pastor sticks to the Bible. He sticks to Scripture. You know, and that's when you get pastors and preachers who get away from the Bible and Scripture, things start to go south pretty quick. Was Baptist. Just swap it out for something else. Yeah. Eastern Orthodox. Three main branches of Chalcedonian Christianity, alongside Roman Catholicism and Protestantism. Organized into autocephalous churches, independent from each other. Autocephalous churches have jurisdiction over other churches. Believe in the Trinity, sin, salvation, and incarnation. Yeah. The Eastern Orthodox are the ones who decided what went into the Bible. Would that be in terms of King James's council? Eastern Orthodox Church Bible contains the Septuagint, the patriarchal text, refer to the Bible as Holy Scripture. Very interesting. Yeah, I'll probably have to read more on Eastern Orthodoxy. Look into ecumenical councils. Roger. Roger that. And before that, it was a unified church. Yep. That's how it goes, man. That is the oldest trick in the book. And the book. And the playbook that that Satan continues to use. Divide and conquer. Side with the OGs. You're not wrong. Usually the OGs got it right. And it's human nature to want to take something and add your own spin to it. See, there's right here, there's a difference between repentance and confession. But I'll probably get into that at some other time. Distribution, yeah, mostly Russia. Oh, it's all right. I'm in no rush. But I have enjoyed it. But Exodus 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that, when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, When ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared God, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, Why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied, and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. Pharaoh's got it all wrong. If you want to destroy a population, get rid of the women. But, no. He obviously didn't think that one through. So we got Exodus 1. Done. In the books. Yeah, or you could just breed them out. That is the historical way. So we're basically setting the stage for a new book. We got Joseph's death, the 12 tribes. They multiply. Joseph's death, 12 tribes. People multiply. You got the new Pharaoh. Who never knew Joseph. Here comes Moses. Just steamrolling his way through. Pharaoh never knew Joseph. Yeah. So all those good tidings are forgotten of him saving Egypt through his interpretation of the dreams and the power that the Pharaoh at the time gave him. Hebrews in bondage. Yeah. Pharaoh tries to kill the boys. The midwives don't. And God blesses them. All right, Mr. Shackelford. We will patiently await your arrival. Exodus 2. Yep, here comes Moses. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off, to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, Because I drew him out of the water. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way. When he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian, and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, Who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me, as thou killedst the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, Surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel their father, he said, How is it that ye are come so soon today? And they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock. And he said unto his daughters, And where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. So it's interesting how God keeps putting these people that he uses as instruments in very strange positions. You know, Joseph worked for the Pharaoh. Moses is now a part of Pharaoh's extended family, so to speak. You know, Daniel gets put in the same position later on. Again, kind of harkens back to no matter high or low you are, you never know how you'll be used. So Moses is left in the river. Pharaoh's daughter collects him. And he grows up. And I never know what to make of him slaying an Egyptian. You know, he's trying to stand up for his fellow Hebrew, so he obviously knows he's not Egyptian. He knows who he is. There's probably no secret in the courts of Pharaoh, but for whatever reason, they let him live. So Moses slays an Egyptian. After seeing him, beating a Hebrew. But they don't thank him. Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Do you intend to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? So then the Hebrew basically insults him for doing so. Which is probably a good thing. You know, he's thinking he just saved his fellow Hebrew, and this Hebrew gives him a little bit of the business. So imagine what Moses is thinking of that. Like, why isn't he thanking me? You know, if they know, well, Pharaoh knows. And so he starts getting scared. But still, why isn't he thanking me? And it probably starts to lead him to realize that it's not the right answer. Direct force, direct action, violence isn't the answer. And I guess, yeah, this is a good juxtaposition. You know, he flees to Midian and he helps them. You know, he shows kindness, he shows compassion, draws the water, helps them water the flock. And instead he's treated with respect. He even gets a wife out of the deal. Gershom, I have been a stranger in a strange land. So the juxtaposition with helping the flocks of Midian, he receives respect and appreciation. Interesting. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. There it is again. Say the name twice, and there's your response. Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither, put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppress them. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. And Moses said unto God, Who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, Certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee, that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain. And Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. And God said moreover unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together, and say unto them, The Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you, and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken to thy voice, and thou shalt come, thou and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, and ye shall say unto him, The Lord God of the Hebrews hath met with us, and now let us go, we beseech thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. And I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go, no, not by a mighty hand. And I will stretch out my hand, and smite Egypt with all my wonders, which I will do in the midst thereof. And after that he will let you go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, and it shall come to pass, that when ye go, ye shall not go empty. But every woman shall borrow of her neighbor, and of her that sojourneth in her house, jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and ye shall put them upon your sons and upon your daughters, and ye shall spoil the Egyptians. So, we have the burning bush, the Girgasites. I don't know. Is it? I guess if you are reading it literally, and I think the Bible should be taken a little more literally, there probably is an importance between a difference between Girgasites and Jebusites. But I guess for my purposes, I'm just trying to get through the darn thing. Trying to capture more of the moral teachings than specific context, while still containing enough context to understand the era. So we have the burning bush, and God lays it down for Moses. God lays down an outline for Moses. I mean, he basically just told us the whole story of Exodus right here in this chapter. I mean, you're going to collect the elders, and you're going to say, allow us to go in the wilderness. I will give this people favor in the sight of Egyptians, and ye shall not go empty. You know, and it's funny just because by the end of it, the Hebrews leave very rich off of this. Very rich. Because the Egyptians, after the plagues, are basically paying them to leave. Um, every woman shall borrow of her neighbor. Yeah, it's weird that it says borrow. Because I understood it as just because of the plagues, like everyone just wanted the Hebrews to leave. Ask of her neighbor. That seems a little more appropriate. Like all the Egyptians just wanted them gone, so they were basically just throwing everything at them. Here, take it. Just leave. Be wealthy. Have cattle and flocks and raiment, whatever you want. Just go, because we're done with these plagues. And then in Pharaoh's infinite ego, once they leave, he starts chasing them. And Moses answered and said, But, behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. Yeah, he's not a believer. Not yet. For they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land. And the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. Man, yeah, that one hits me hard. And the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth, or who maketh the dumb or deaf, or the seeing or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. And he said, O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. And he said, Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee. And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. And thou shalt speak unto him, and put words in his mouth. And I will be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people. And he shall be to thee instead of a mouth. And thou shalt be to him instead of God. And thou shalt take this rod in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. Yeah, I feel for Moses on this one. I got a lot of thoughts rushing through my head. I think a little too much. And I tend to stumble over my words. And you can kind of hear it in my speech patterns. If you're paying attention, I pause a lot when I'm about to say something because I'm constantly thinking about what I want to say next. Yeah. I find the opposite to be true for most people. I find the opposite to be true. They don't think, and it just comes flying out 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I think and I think Esau and Jacob, we went over this, Mr. Shackelford, Esau just saying, "Oh, just give me the lentils. You can have my birthright." Like, people don't think before they speak, but back then your word was law. You kept your word, so you had to. Jacob and the Sasquatch. Yeah, you had to watch what you said. And nowadays it's nuts. You don't have to watch what you say at all. People just go back on their word and it means nothing. But it does mean something. What else do you have besides your word? I guess, like anything, practice. Yeah. That's kind of another reason I wanted to stream. I wanted to put myself in a position where I have to think quickly. I have to practice getting my words out. I can't just sit here and allow silent air to fill the airwaves. So, yeah, it's nuts how even these first few stories, first few books, I find a lot in common with these common men that God chooses. Abraham needed to leave his father's tent. Moses is slow of tongue. And I'm sure there's many other comparisons and similarities I'll find in my own life with other characters of the Bible. And Moses went and returned to Jethro his father-in-law, and said unto him, Let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt, and see whether they be yet alive. And Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life. And Moses took his wife and his sons, and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And the Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. And it came to pass by the way in the inn that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet, and said, Surely a bloody husband art thou to me. So he let him go. Then he said, A bloody husband thou art, because of the circumcision. Okay, so God tells him what to do, tells him what to say to Pharaoh. And it came to pass by the way in the inn that the Lord met him, being Moses, and sought to kill him. But his wife knew what was going on, took a stone, cut off his foreskin, cast it at his feet. And, she fulfilled the requirement as a Hebrew. Which, yeah, that's kind of strange because his mother and father kept him for 3 months, but they didn't circumcise him on the 8th day. And then he grew up an Egyptian. I think because he was uncircumcised. I mean, it would have to be because Zipporah realizes what's going on, circumcises him. Hopefully she didn't do too much of a roughshod job. And, God lets him go. And the Lord said to Aaron, "Go into the wilderness to meet Moses." And he went and met him in the mount of God and kissed him. And Moses told Aaron all the words of the Lord who had sent him and all the signs which he had commanded him. And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spake all the words which the Lord had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed. And when they heard that the Lord had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshipped. So, chapter 4. God gives Moses signs. Yep. Moses realizes he's slow of tongue. Fair enough. At least he admits it. And he said, O my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. I think it sounds like God's getting angry because Moses is asking someone to speak for him after God just told him, like, I will be your mouth and teach you what to say. So he gets a little angry, but he still delivers. So Moses returns. He starts heading to Egypt. Boy. God tells him what to say. That the Lord met him. So God intends to kill Moses. But Zipporah realizes it's because he's uncircumcised. And she does the deed. dot, dot, dot. Just with a sharp stone. Just has at it. Moses meets Aaron and shows him the signs. And they go to Egypt, and gather the elders. And afterward Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, "Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness." And Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go." And they said, "The God of the Hebrews hath met with us. Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto the Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword." So they're not even asking to leave. They're just asking to go worship for 3 days. Pharaoh can't even do that. And the king of Egypt said unto them, "Wherefore do ye, Moses and Aaron, let the people from their works? Get you unto your burdens." And Pharaoh said, "Behold, the people of the land now are many, and ye make them rest from their burdens." And Pharaoh commanded the same day the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, "Ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick, as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. And the tale of the bricks, which they did make heretofore, ye shall lay upon them. Ye shall not diminish aught thereof, for they be idle. Therefore they cry, saying, Let us go and sacrifice to our God. Let their more work be laid upon the men, that they may labor therein, and let them not regard vain words." So he's just throwing more work on them, just to be a dick. And the taskmasters of the people went out, and their officers, and they spake to the people, saying, Thus saith Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go ye, get you straw where ye can find it, yet not aught of your work shall be diminished. So go get straw, but do just as much work. So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw. And the taskmasters hasted them, saying, Fulfill your works, your daily tasks, as when there was straw. And the officers of the children of Israel, which Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and demanded, Wherefore have ye not fulfilled your task in making brick both yesterday and today, as heretofore? And the officers of the children of Israel came and cried unto Pharaoh, saying, Wherefore dealest thou thus with thy servants? There is no straw given unto thy servants. And they say to us, Make brick. And, behold, thy servants are beaten. But the fault is in thine own people. But he said, Ye are idle, ye are idle. Therefore ye say, Let us go and do sacrifice to the Lord. Go therefore now and work, for there shall no straw be given to you. Yet shall ye deliver the tale of bricks. And the officers of the children of Israel did see that they were in evil case, after it was said, Ye shall not minish aught from your bricks of your daily task. And they met Moses and Aaron, who stood in the way, as they came forth from Pharaoh. And they said unto them, The Lord look upon you, and judge, because ye have made our savor to be abhorred in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to slay us. And Moses returned unto the Lord, and said, Lord, wherefore hast thou so evil entreated this people? Why is it that thou hast sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in thy name, he hath done evil to this people. Neither hast thou delivered thy people at all. So Moses starting to doubt a little bit. Let my people go. Boy, I wish I knew how to type. I'm not a fan of this keyboard either, but that's just me making excuses. Let my people go. Pharaoh refuses and makes their lives much harder. And then the elders are upset with Moses, and Moses begins to doubt. Yeah, I agree. Good keyboard matters. I'm good with the one at work. At work, I type really well looking up, but this one, man, I struggle. Then the Lord said unto Moses, Now shalt thou see what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. And God spake unto Moses, and said unto him, I am the Lord, and I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, by the name of God Almighty. But by my name Jehovah was I not known to them. And I have also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm, and with great judgments. And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you a God, and ye shall know that I am the Lord your God, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you in unto the land concerning the which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it you for an heritage. I am the Lord. And Moses spake so unto the children of Israel, but they hearkened not unto Moses for anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Go in, speak unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, that he let the children of Israel go out of his land. And Moses spake before the Lord, saying, Behold, the children of Israel have not hearkened unto me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me, who am of uncircumcised lips? And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, and gave them a charge unto the children of Israel, and unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Moses spake before the Lord, saying, Behold, the children of Israel have not hearkened unto me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me, who am of uncircumcised lips? I'm not too sure what he's saying there. Is he saying, will Pharaoh not listen to me because I'm no longer uncircumcised? I'm not sure. These be the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, Hanak and Palu, Hezron and Carmi. These be the families of Reuben. And the sons of Simeon, Jemuel and Jamin and Ohad and Jachin and Zohar and Shaul, the son of a Canaanitish woman. These are the families of Simeon. And these are the names of the sons of Levi, according to their generations, Gershon and Kohath and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137 years. The sons of Gershon, Libni and Shimi, according to their families. And the sons of Kohath, Amram and Izhar and Hebron and Uziel. And the years of the life of Kohath were 133 years. And the sons of Merari, Mahali and Mushi. These are the families of Levi according to their generations. And Amram took him Jochebed, his father's sister, to wife, and she bare him Aaron and Moses. And the years of the life of Amram were 137 years. And the sons of Izhar, Korah, and Nepheg, and Zikri, and the sons of Uziel, Mishael, and Elzaphan, and Zithri. And Aaron took him Elisheba, daughter of Aminadab, sister of Nahshon, to wife, and she bare him Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. And the sons of Korah, Asir, and Elkanah, and Abiasaph. These are the families of the Korites. And Eleazar, Aaron's son, took him one of the daughters to Putiel to wife, and she bare him Phinehas. These are the heads of the fathers of the Levites according to their families. These are that Aaron and Moses, to whom the Lord said, Bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their armies. These are they which spake to Pharaoh king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. These are that Moses and Aaron. And it came to pass on the day when the Lord spake unto Moses in the land of Egypt, that the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, I am the Lord. Speak thou unto Pharaoh king of Egypt all that I say unto thee. And Moses said before the Lord, Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips, and how shall Pharaoh hearken unto me? Strong hand shall he let them go, with a strong hand shall he drive them out of this land. Yeah, so God just keeps telling Moses, like, look, you're going to find out. Here's exactly what's going to happen. That's a pretty recurring theme in a lot of these early books. A lot of these people don't have faith. So God keeps telling Moses what's going to happen. Well, it may be, but at least it's a shit show with faith. So Moses tells the children of Israel, but they listen not. And then we get generations to Moses and Aaron. And then, Moses basically asks again, how will Pharaoh listen to me if I am of uncircumcised lips? Mr. Shackelford saying has something to do with his lips not being right. Like he's unable to persuade him. Like he doesn't have the words. Yeah, weak of speech. Yeah, that could be all it means. Like there's just no way to persuade him. And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring forth mine armies, and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch forth mine hand upon Egypt, and bring out the children of Israel from among them. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them, so did they. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spake unto Pharaoh. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, Show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, Take thy rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rods swallowed up their rods. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened, he refuseth to let the people go. Get thee unto Pharaoh in the morning, lo, he goeth out unto the water. And thou shalt stand by the river's brink against he come. And the rod which was turned to a serpent shalt thou take in thine hand. And thou shalt say unto him, The Lord God of the Hebrews hath sent me unto thee, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And behold, hitherto thou wouldest not hear. Thus saith the Lord, In this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Take thy rod, and stretch out thine hand upon the waters of Egypt, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so, as the Lord commanded, and he lifted up the rod, and smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river. And there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened, neither did he hearken unto them, as the Lord had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house, neither did he set his heart to this also. And all the Egyptians digged round about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink of the water of the river. And 7 days were fulfilled. After that the Lord had smitten the river. So chapter 7. God tells him what to do again. And then the plagues start. So we got the start of the plagues with the blood in the river. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Go unto Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs, and the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house, and into thy bedchamber, and upon thy bed, and into the house of thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thine ovens, and into thy kneading troughs. And the frogs shall come up both on thee, and upon thy people, and upon all thy servants. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Stretch forth thine hand with thy rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up upon the land of Egypt. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, and brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron, and said, Entreat the Lord, that he may take away the frogs from me, and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice unto the Lord. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, Glory over me. When shall I entreat for thee, and for thy servants, and for thy people, to destroy the frogs from thee and thy houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said, Tomorrow. And he said, Be it, according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none like unto the Lord our God. And the frogs shall depart from thee, and from thy houses, and from thy servants, and from thy people. They shall remain in the river only. And Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moses cried unto the Lord because of the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. And the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, and out of the fields. And they gathered them together upon heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart, and hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Stretch out thy rod, and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod, and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beast. And then the magicians said unto Pharaoh, This is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said unto Moses, Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the water, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are. And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end thou mayest know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. And I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be. And the Lord did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies. Well, yeah. That's how it is for every common man. But that's an extremely important context to bring up. You know, history's written by the winner, obviously, but it's also written by the wealthy and the powerful. And so you see and hear all of the big names, but people forget about the common man. Common man has no idea what's going on. Why are there frogs? Why is there lice? Why are there flies? Why is the river blood? Yeah, like you say, meanwhile, you have no idea that Pharaoh's just being hard-hearted. He won't let the Hebrews go worship for 3 days in the wilderness. But that's the perspective of the masses. That's how most people are. They're just trying to live their lives, and they're facing the consequences of others. Of others' decisions and others' actions. Seen these things in our lives. How so? You mean just broadly? Like, that's a good question. You know, is one big earthquake just God dealing with one person, but it's something that everyone else has to suffer through? But I guess if you think of it in terms of God, because if you think of it in terms of God, you know, omnipotence, omnipresence, omniscience, you know, even an earthquake that's, or a plague that's where he's dealing with one person, you know, God has the power to make that plague that's directed at one person affect each person that it does affect specifically in the way that he wants it to. That is the enormous power. Yeah. I guess it's interesting to think about, but no way for us to ever know. So I don't dwell on that a whole lot, just because there is no way to know. And Pharaoh called for Moses and for Aaron and said, "Go ye, sacrifice to your God in the land." And Moses said, "It is not meet so to do, for we shall sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians to the Lord our God. Lo, shall we sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians before their eyes? And will they not stone us? We will go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our God as he shall command us." And Pharaoh said, "I will let you go, that ye may sacrifice to the Lord your God in the wilderness. Only ye shall not go very far away. Entreat from me." And Moses said, Behold, I go out from thee, and I will entreat the Lord that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people tomorrow. But let not Pharaoh deal deceitfully any more in not letting the people go to sacrifice to the Lord. And Moses went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. And the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. There remained not one. And Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time also, neither would he let the people go. Oh, Pharaoh. When will you learn? Oh, Pharaoh, you rascal, you. Just pulling that same trick. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 9 more times in a row. Shame on me. Then the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh and tell him. Yeah, the sorcerers tried a few times, and they're like, yeah, we can do this. And they're finally like, yeah, this has got God's hand all over it. There's not much we can do here. Then the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh and tell him, Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if thou refuse to let them go, and wilt hold them still, behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thy cattle which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain. Murrain. Chapter 9, verse 3. A pestilence. Should have seen that one coming. Affecting domestic animals. And the Lord shall sever between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt, and there shall nothing die of all, that is, the children of Israel. And the Lord appointed a set time, saying, Tomorrow the Lord shall do this thing in the land. And the Lord did that thing on the morrow, and all the cattle of Egypt died. So the cattle die. But of the cattle of the children of Israel died not one. And Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not one of the cattle of the Israelites dead. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. And the Lord said unto Moses and unto Aaron, Take to you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it toward the heaven in the sight of Pharaoh. And it shall become small dust in all the land of Egypt, and shall be a boil breaking forth with blains upon man, and upon beasts throughout all the land of Egypt. Blains is probably some kind of skin lesion. Boom, nailed it. Blaine, chapter 9, verse 9. Swelling or sore. So we got the cattle die, and then we have the boils. And they took ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses sprinkled it up toward heaven, and it became a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast. And the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils, for the boil was upon the magicians and upon all the Egyptians. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had spoken unto Moses. And the Lord said unto Moses, Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all my plagues upon thine heart, and upon thine servants, and upon thy people, that thou mayest know that there is none like me in all the earth. For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may smite thee and thy people with pestilence, and thou shalt be cut off from the earth. And in very deed for this cause have I raised thee up, for to show in thee my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. As yet exaltest thou thyself against my people, that thou wilt not let them go? Behold, tomorrow about this time I will cause it to rain a grievous hail, such as hath not been in Egypt since the foundation thereof, even until now. Send therefore now, and gather thy cattle, and all that thou hast in the field. For upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field, and shall not be brought home, the hail shall come down upon them, and they shall die. He that feared the word of the Lord among the servants of Pharaoh made his servants and his cattle flee into the houses, and he that regarded not the word of the Lord left his servants and his cattle in the field. I thought all the cattle were already dead. All right, we'll just let that one slide. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch forth thine hand toward heaven. Yeah. That there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, upon man and upon beast, and upon every herb of the field, throughout the land of Egypt. And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and the Lord rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail, and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt all that was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail smote every herb of the field, and brake every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, was there no hail. And Pharaoh sent and called for Moses and Aaron, and said unto them, I have sinned this time. The Lord is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Entreat the Lord, for it is enough that there be no more mighty thunderings and hail, and I will let you go, and ye shall stay no longer. And Moses said unto him, As soon as I am gone out of the city, I will spread abroad my hands unto the Lord, and the thunder shall cease. Neither shall there be any more hail, that thou mayest know how that the earth is the Lord's. But as for thee and thy servants, I know that ye will not yet fear the Lord God. And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was bold. Flax was bold. Nope. Producing bowls, having bowls. What a coincidence. It's just something to do with the grain. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up. And Moses went out of the city from Pharaoh, and spread abroad his hands unto the Lord, and the thunders and hail ceased, and the rain was not poured upon the earth. And when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunders were ceased, he sinned yet more, and hardened his heart, he and his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, neither would he let the children of Israel go, as the Lord had spoken by Moses. the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him, and that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son and of thy son's son what things I have wrought in Egypt. So the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him, and that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son and of thy son's son what things I have wrought in Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know how that I am the Lord. See, I was thinking about this like a chapter or two ago. God is punishing Pharaoh and the Egyptians, but he's also showing the Hebrews, the Israelites, what he's capable of. And this verse kind of lays it down like, here's why I'm actually doing it. That you, Moses, may tell in the ears of your sons and your sons' sons what things I have done in Egypt, and the signs which I have done to them, that you may know how I am the Lord. I mean, Pharaoh's heart is already hardened. Or even if it's not, God has a plan and he's going to harden it. And the Egyptians won't learn, Pharaoh won't learn. It's not directly for the Egyptians or for Pharaoh. His action is directed at the Israelites to save them and to show them that I am the Lord. This is what I am capable of. So yeah, I kind of thought of that, and it's interesting to see that in one solid verse. So that's 10:2. Tell your sons that you may know that I am the Lord. Chapter 20. Are you reading ahead? You getting ahead of us? Man, no spoilers. Verse 20, what, in the last chapter? Are we going to skip ahead now? But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go. Oh, come on. Now you say not to do it? Okay. No skipping ahead. At least for me. You do what you want to do. And Moses and Aaron came in unto Pharaoh and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, How long wilt thou refuse to humble thyself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow will I bring the locusts into thy coast. Boom, the locust. And they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth, and they shall eat the residue of that which is escaped, which remaineth unto you from the hail, and shall eat every tree which groweth for you out of the field. And they shall fill thy houses, and the houses of all thy servants, and the houses of all the Egyptians, which neither thy fathers nor thy fathers' fathers have seen, since the day that they were upon the earth unto this day. And he turned himself and went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said unto him, How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the man go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed? And Moses and Aaron were brought again unto Pharaoh, and he said unto them, Go, serve the Lord your God. But who are they that shall go? And Moses said, We will go with our young and with our old, with our sons and with our daughters, with our flocks and with our herds will we go. For we must hold a feast unto the Lord. And he said unto them, Let the Lord be so with you, as I will let you go, and your little ones look to it, for evil is before you. Not so. Go now ye that are men, and serve the Lord, for that ye did desire. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. So is he saying just the men? And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, that they may come up upon the land of Egypt, and eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail hath left. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day, and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. And the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt, and rested in all the coasts of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them there were no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened. They did eat every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left. And there remained not any green thing in the trees, or in the herbs of the field, through all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron in haste, and he said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Now therefore forgive, I pray thee, my sin only this once, and entreat the Lord your God that he may take away from me this death only. And he went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. And the Lord turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locust and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coasts of Egypt. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go. So he basically begs them. He still doesn't do it. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the 8th plague. He just can't figure it out. Well, I guess he can figure it out. Just refuses, man. Just doesn't want to. Just ego, pride. And I guess that is a Pharaoh. Pharaoh considered themselves to be God. So, and maybe it's a cultural difference too, how we said the Hebrews kept their word. You said something and you kept it. You know, Pharaoh obviously does not keep his word. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, see how easy it is for me to go to the other side and start thinking of it in a different way. When in reality, it's not about Pharaoh. It's about God causing this chain of events to show the Hebrews, the Israelites, what he is capable of. You want it out of Egypt? I'll take you out of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. Yeah. God could have just smited him. Been like, all right, go take your promised land. But here we are, 9 plagues in. It's not about Pharaoh. It's not about the plagues. He's trying to send a message. And he is giving it his stamp of approval. Right on top of that message. And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, Go ye, serve the Lord. Only yet let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you. And Moses said, Thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto the Lord our God. We're 9 plagues in, and he's still trying to negotiate. Egypt is already destroyed. It is nothing. And he's trying to get this last little, okay, you can go, but no flocks, no herds, no sacrifices. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not an hoof be left behind. For therefore must we take to serve the Lord our God, and we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we come thither. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him, Get thee from me, take heed to thyself, see my face no more, for in that day thou seest my face, thou shalt die. And Moses said, Thou hast spoken well, I will see thy face again no more. Well, I'm coming up on 2 hours. Do I want to finish the last plague? That might be a good place to stop. Do the last plague next time, and then we get into the wilderness. All right, you talked me into it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Yet will I bring 1 plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver and jewels of gold. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. Yeah, so it's just an interesting detail. Is Israel gets very rich off of this. Like, very rich. The Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. The Egyptians, like you said, like they're common people. They have no idea what's going on. But, Pharaoh has servants in his court, and word probably spreads to the masses of the Egyptians. It's like, these plagues are happening because Pharaoh just won't let them go. And so it gets to the point here where they're just like, take whatever you want, leave, be gone. And Moses said, Thus saith the Lord, about midnight I will go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. I didn't know that. Firstborn of beasts, too. Firstborn die, beasts included. I thought all the cattle were already dead. I don't know. Maybe that's a translation error. And all the cattle died for a third time. Oh, man. Honestly, that's another aspect of the Bible. Like, the thing is not without humor. There is, I wouldn't say a plethora of humor in the Bible, but there's some funny stuff in the Bible. I think that's another aspect of God. Like, humans love humor. Yeah, that's true. Oh, I think it said cattle. It said cattle all 3 times. Yeah, it could be translational errors or whatever, but again, people love humor. Humor is such a important part of life. And since we're created in the image of God, if you're a Christian or another God-believing religion, like, you kind of got to believe God has a sense of humor. If we're created in the image of God and we love humor, God has a sense of humor. Yep. Rock. Because he's so hard-headed. He's so forthright. Good old Peter. Man, I can't wait to get to the New Testament. It's going to be a long time before we get there. Man, if I stay consistent and keep going strong just about every day, it'll be pretty quick. I'd give it like 2 months. It's going to be a while. The rock the church is built on. I don't think that he meant Peter as the rock the church is built on. I'd have to look up the verse and explain it to you, but I don't think that's what he meant. We'll have to come back to that, Mr. Shackelford, because that's one verse I really like to talk about, because I think a lot of people get it wrong. Matt 16:18. Oh man, you're gonna take me right to it. All right, let's finish the last plague, and then we'll come back to Matt 16:18, and we'll talk about the rock the church is built on. Gosh, where did I leave off? The beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. And all these thy servants shall come down unto me, and bow down themselves unto me, saying, Get thee out, and all the people that follow thee. And after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in a great anger. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. And Moses and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh, and the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go out of his land. Oh, man. Honestly, it gets really heavy. I mean, there's some humor there. There's some stubbornness. You get this repetition over and over and over. And as you get into this final plague and you like read these, last two paragraphs, and I like to think about stuff like this and dwell on it. Like, all the firstborns are about to die. All of them. So you kind of go from us making fun of the cattle dying 3 times, and the locusts and the darkness and frogs bouncing around and whatever. It's really getting real here in a second. Leviticus. I've read Leviticus because I started reading the first books. I think I got to Deuteronomy, and that's where I tapped out. So I got to power through those, and I'm interested in some of these later books, specifically Job. So chapter 11, the firstborn die, beasts included. Things get really heavy. Is Deuteronomy the law? I think so. Yeah. Yep, those are tough. The law books. But I think those... I could be wrong. I could be speaking too soon. I think those are better than the generations. The Passover. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door post of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with the water, but roast with fire. His head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread, until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall ye eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, Draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 side posts, the Lord will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land which the Lord will give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service? That ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. And the people bowed the head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away, and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. So did they. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, Rise up, and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses. And they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men beside children. 600,000 on foot that were men, plus children, and probably more women too. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt, and could not tarry. neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day, it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof, but every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and an hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. Thus did all the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that the Lord did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. Yeah. That one gets very heavy. But makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm at 2 hours and 17 minutes. That is a lot of reading. 12 chapters of Exodus. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense why Passover is so important to Jewish people. And frankly, when I read it as a Christian, I think it should be very important to Christians as well. You know, far more important than, you know, some of the holidays we celebrate. Yeah. A very different deliverance. Well, I think both should be celebrated. I'm just not a fan of what our holidays have turned into. Oh man. All right, it looks like Christmas is more important than Easter. Oh, you're saying people consider Christmas more important than Easter. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think primarily for materialistic and superficial reasons. You know, they don't generally celebrate the actual meaning and purpose of it. I'm not saying that I have or do consistently, but I'm quickly coming to the realization that, you know, I've been doing it the wrong way for a long time. But it looks like we're not done with the plagues, so let me finish. Yeah, it's not a long chapter. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. And Moses said unto the people, Remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day came ye out in the month Abib. And it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this service in this month. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and in the 7th day shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with thee. Neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. And thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, This is done because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thine hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year. And it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites, as he sware unto thee and to thy fathers, and shall give it thee, that thou shalt set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast. The males shall be the Lord's. And every firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with a lamb. And if thou wilt not redeem it, then thou shalt break his neck. And all the firstborn of man among thy children shalt thou redeem. And it shall be, when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, What is this? That thou shalt say unto him, By strength of hand the Lord brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that openeth the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem. And it shall be for a token upon thine hand, and for frontlets between thine eyes, for by strength of hand the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt. Yeah, we'll end there. So, 13. It's basically, It's basically what to tell your sons when they ask why. About the Passover. Yeah. That is a good place. I don't know, you want to touch anything? Oh. Anything else before we jump? Should we jump to Matt 16:18? Yeah, why not? And I say, let me see. Yeah, it blocked the link that you sent. So I'll do a DM with you after. You can send me whatever. All right. So we brought up Peter being the rock that the church is built on. You graciously pointed me to the chapter and verse, Matthew 8:16, verse 18. Yeah. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. See, I don't. Where is it? I think it's somewhere in here. Just a little bit of context. O ye of little faith, why reason ye among yourselves, because ye have brought no bread? Do ye not yet understand? Neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets ye took up? Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets ye took up? How is it that ye do not understand that I spake it not to you concerning bread, that ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees? Then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. When Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, Some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Yeah, so Peter means rock, but he's not saying that Peter is the rock upon which I will build my church. I know I had to go back and read multiple paragraphs to really get an understanding of it. But thou art Peter, Simon Bar-Jonah, that's his real name, and then he calls him Peter, so he calls him rock or stone or something. And upon this rock I will build my church. But he's not talking about Peter. He asked them the question, Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? Some say John the Baptist, some say Elias, others say Jeremiah or one of the prophets. But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. That's the answer to the question. That he is Christ the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And it's not Peter that's the rock of the church. And I say also unto thee that you are Peter, and upon this rock, this foundation, that he is Christ, the Messiah, Son of the living God. That's the foundation upon which he will build the church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Yes, Peter was foundational in many aspects of the early church, without a doubt. But Peter is not the foundation of the church. The foundation of the church, of the belief of any Christian church, is that Jesus was the Messiah, is the Messiah, and is the Son of the living God. That's the foundation. And, God works in mysterious ways, so maybe there's a reason. Yeah, that's fair. He was a bricklayer. Maybe that's why Jesus calls him Peter, is because it means stone or rock. And maybe he wanted so much attention drawn to this line to where you really had to pick it apart and understand that it is not Peter who's the rock. It is Christ being Messiah that is the rock, that is the foundation that all of this is built on. I mean, God has a clear hierarchy, and there is a necessity of hierarchy in really anything. But yeah, I mean, to justify the papacy, it's become convoluted at this point. The papacy has become exactly like what Jesus said right here. Pharisees and Sadducees. That's exactly how the Hebrews, Israelites, how their priests were acting, is how our papacy is acting now. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. They would much rather disregard the law, disregard the teachings, disregard the faith, disregard everything in order to keep their position. Yeah. Yeah, the seed of Peter is not infallible. God's infallible. Jesus is infallible because he was perfect. But humans are extremely fallible. But I think that's a pretty good place to stop. We got to touch on Peter being the rock. I gave you my opinion, my take on it, and why him being the rock of the church is not quite an accurate statement. But I do appreciate you bringing it up because I think it's an interesting verse, and it got me to go get a little bit of taste of the New Testament before I get there. Wordplay is fun. Interpretation is fun. Analysis is fun. That's why maybe reading the law books might not be so bad if there's a little bit of interpretation to be had. But I don't think it's going to quite read like modern law, where there's a lot of room for interpretation. So thank you, Mr. Shackelford. I have honestly, I've really enjoyed this. I mean, I would have done this by myself, but having even just one person here alongside me has made this an awesome experience. You know, having a social aspect to this, because reading the Bible is hard by yourself. Having someone there with you is it's an honor, and I do appreciate it. I mean that. Ben Beggar, I saw you followed. You've been lurking in here, haven't you? I appreciate you listening too. It's it does. It means a lot. It makes this a whole different experience than just sitting there reading alone. And that's really all I wanted. You know, even if it's just a few people, it adds a whole different element. So, to anyone else in the future who's watching the recording, thank you for watching or listening. I really enjoy this, and I'm starting to settle in and get more confident. So, thank you. I will be back tomorrow for more of Exodus as we get into Moses and Aaron leading them out into the wilderness. All right, Mr. Shackelford, I will DM you shortly. Good night, everyone, and God bless.